not my practice to go to events late, and so I want to apologize for coming late. We were unavoidably held on the way, but here we are now. And I want to thank so much the organizers for this honor. I remember the day you put it up, I just began to get messages, and I said, what's going on? And people say, congratulations. And I say, for what? And they say, you've been voted. I say, what, me? But thank you so much. I'm not going to take time. David, I am your biggest fan. My goodness.
So am I. I'm recording you.
You articulate things in such a beautiful way, and then that voice, a true African patriot. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. I just want to give a very, very short presentation, okay? And I hope you don't mind if I walk around. Is that okay?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had attention deficit disorder. And so if my mother wanted me to sleep, she just made me stand on one spot. And after a few minutes, I would sleep, and nothing has changed. So in your interest and in my interest, I think it's better I walk around. But you see, when I was a kid, I heard so much about the African potential, all right? Everywhere we went, we were told that Africa was a land of potential. My first job as a researcher in a place called the Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies was in 1989. So I've been at this for many years, and we just keep hearing about potential. But sincerely speaking, nobody can take potential to Naivas to shop. We cannot shop with potential. I cannot pay my bills at Pride Inn with potential. And so my question is, when is it going to stop being potential? And what do we need to do to move from potential to where we have something tangible, something real? And that has been something that has driven me for many years. And how do we get out of this potential rut, as it were? And, I found out that it's a very, very simple process, and which I'm going to share with you in 5-10 minutes. And the first thing is we need to be aware of the potential. All right? I think that's the first thing. But being aware of it, like I said, we've been aware of it for many years. What have we done with it? Then the next thing is we need to understand what is the capacity requirement to bring the best of this potential out. What is the capacity requirement? Because what happens is, a lot of times, a dream without capacity will turn into a nightmare. Because you will always be thinking of what could have been. And I find that a lot of people are not building capacity for where they want to be. A lot of people look at some of us and think we just landed like this. Like I told you, I got into this country. The first time I came to Kenya, 25th of November, 1994. Some people here were still ideas then. Isn't it? Yeah. Some people were still ideas then. And I said, look, how do we maximize this? So yes, I'm aware of it. Then I began to build capacity for it. That you know what? There's something I can do. And that is the next thing. Make sure that you are not passing the buck. There's something you can do. One of the greatest influences in my life is the late Professor Wangari Maathai, who talked about her little thing, her one thing. And my one thing was that if I could change the thinking of Africans, if I could change the way we look at life, if I could be that person that could inspire a generation that will stop begging. It's an insult to talk about potential on one hand, and then we go all over the world with a begging list. I think that's an insult. Thank you so much. I think that's an insult. So how do we begin to change this? And you know what? It starts with each individual in this room taking responsibility. And so what did I do? I set up something called Zero to Hero. Zero to Hero was, I've seen so many economic empowerment programs, but you see, if you have the economics right and you don't touch the mindset, it's like winning the lottery. You go back to square one. So Zero to Hero, we test run it. We did a test run in Madari, where we were changing the mindset, the way people think. The results were phenomenal. We've had hundreds of people who have left our program, gone to, start up their own businesses. They're working in banks, working in different places, because our message was simple. If your mind leaves the slum, your body will follow. And that was the simple message. Then we started what we call we started leadership programs like Inspired to Inspire. And the whole point of that was, how do we develop a leadership without a new breed, without greed? How do we do that? And again, it was a function of the mindset. My post yesterday on LinkedIn, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I gave the account of when I work with a lot of governments. So President Goodluck Jonathan, the former president of Nigeria, was around, and he said, hey, we need to go somewhere. So I was sitting with him in the car, and I asked him a question. I said, what drives you as a leader? Because I always want to find out what is the decision-making process of leaders who have stood the test of time. And he said something to me. He said, identify what is right, get the right capacity for it, and do it, regardless of how popular it is. I said, Your Excellency, do you realize that in a world full of likes and follows, it's very difficult to do what you just said? And I discovered something. You see, in this world full of likes and follows, I believe a time is coming when people are going to desire authentic leadership that's not bothered about how many people like what I said or not. And there'll be a great demand for such people, and no time like now to begin to differentiate yourself. So Inspire to Inspire, we began that, and through that program, we started in 2012. We have been able to raise, I don't like to use the word raise, they were there before we got there, try to influence the thinking of people, and we've had a number of people who became governors, cabinet secretaries, top CEOs in this country and beyond. What was I doing? My little thing. Then we started the Street University. And since we started the Street University, and the Street University I was really concerned that I've been in school, I've studied and studied and studied, and I couldn't count the number of professors of business administration who ran successful businesses. And then I discovered, I was studying, and I found out that the first university, and I thought of it, the founders of the first university could not have been graduates. Somebody will get that day after tomorrow. But they could have been graduates. Where did they go? And I discovered, you can check on this lady in Morocco. It was in Fez, Morocco. Fatma Al-Fahiri, founded the first university. Now, these people were not graduates, but somebody just had a grand idea. Let us put something together. Let's have people there for 3 years, and after that, give them a piece of paper that will define their life forever after that. And it worked. My goodness. Is somebody hearing me today? It worked. And I said to myself, I'm going to start a university. It's going to be online, and we're going to teach street principles to get success. As I speak, we have 30,000 enrollments from across the globe on that program. What am I telling you today? Your little thing. That's all. That's all it's going to take. Your little thing. I've had the privilege of working with the UN, working with all these things, all these people, Google and all these companies, but nothing gives me the satisfaction like knowing that I'm laying the foundation for a new Kenya. I'm laying the foundation for a Kenya of my dreams. Because the truth is this, when you've been here for 31 years, my children are Kenyans, my children are married. My first son is married to a beautiful daughter of mine from Chennai in India. My second son is getting married to a Kenyan, and my daughter is getting married this year to a Kenyan. Now, of course, the aspect of that, I'm Yoruba. And if you know Yorubas properly, we are Jalos on steroids. And so now my Yoruba daughter is getting married to a Jalo. Wahala. that is wahala. But friends, I think it's time for us to see that we have the responsibility. Am I communicating? Yeah. And whatever little thing we can do. I'll tell you the story of one of my children from the Street University. Her name is Sharon. And at the age of 15, she was spiking the drinks of the men they were going to rob. She was 15. I got to meet her a little after that, and she came into the program, and all we did was change the way she thinks. Today, she runs a very successful, thriving online clothing business, imports clothes from around the world. Do I talk to you about another gentleman who, when he started, he would introduce himself and talk about, oh, I was in Kamiti, I was in Smaletewa, I was in, and I tell people, those are not hotels, that's not private, those are prisons. Those are prisons where he has been. But today, he's done his master's, he's running his own business and got his own family. Is somebody hearing me today?